Hi, this is Ronald D. Moore, writer of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, and you are listening to Authenticity Radio with Slade Suter.
Hey, welcome. Grab a seat anywhere. No, we don't have any menus. The only thing we have today is the freedom to express who you truly are. We call it Authenticity Radio. You'll like it, don't worry. Let me go grab the host. He's got the hospitality of a fat and jolly innkeeper. He's a good guy. Slade Suter.
Welcome to you, and thank you very much for joining us today on the morning edition on Authenticity Radio. This is Slade Suter.
Farther along,
A Living Miracle is our show today. And Kasey-Swartz is our living miracle. Now, Kasey is an advocate for cancer patients, and you will understand why when you hear her story. So, Kasey-Swartz, our living miracle, welcome to Authenticity Radio.
Well, thank you for having me.
It is such an honor to have you with us, Kasey. And could you begin by telling us what happened January 6, 2012?
Sure. I went into the doctor because I noticed some changes, and I noticed a lump in my chest. And the doctor did an ultrasound and immediately said, "Do you have any family in town?" And I just kind of went numb. And I said, "Well, you don't think I have cancer, do you? I mean, that's crazy. I'm only 24. I had my daughter young and breastfed. I did all the right moves, you know." And she says, "Well, we know it's cancer. We just need to know how advanced it is."
Wow. I could just imagine. What did you do with this news?
Thankfully, I do yoga, so I went to another place and I tried to stay calm, but, I mean, I couldn't feel any part of my body, really. They did the biopsy, and I went through a series of tests, and a few days later we found out what it was. It was hard because I found out 2 days before we were set to move from Michigan to North Carolina, which is about 13 hours. And so my husband, he's active duty military, so he had to go still, and I had to stay back with our daughter and do these tests, and that was hard. That was
Wow, how difficult. How old was your daughter at the time?
Oh, geez. She was 16 months old.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
She's just a baby.
Yes. Yeah, very much.
So what type of cancer were you diagnosed with?
I was originally diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Kasey, can you share with our listeners the different stages of cancer?
Yes. Stage 1 and stage 2 are safer. They are smaller tumors. They tend to not have gone into your lymph nodes, which means it's in your bloodstream, so it will spread. Stage 3 was a fairly large tumor. My tumor was about 6 centimeters in diameter. I mean, so it was fairly large, and it had already gone to my lymph nodes. So that means it had already spread into my blood system, which is typically what stage 3 is. And then the last stage, stage 4, is considered terminal, and that means that it has spread to distant organs, mainly vital organs in your body, and they try to make you comfortable for as long as they can.
So you're facing stage 3 all alone.
Yes.
So what was going on with you in your spiritual life, your life of faith?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is my favorite part of my story. I was not a Christian. In fact, when people told me they'd pray for me, I got really offended. Yeah, I was staying at my father-in-law and mother-in-law's house. They're amazing. They're like my parents, really, and they were helping me with my daughter since Alec had to leave, and that was extremely hard for him as well. So I went upstairs to to their bedroom where I was staying, and I dropped to my knees, like instantly, just dropped to my knees and just started crying. And I started praying, and it was bizarre because, but I wasn't scared. I do know why now, but I went in, they drained over 2 liters of fluid off of my lungs, and I started chemotherapy again because I had tumors as well in my lungs, but it hadn't gone anywhere else. So I still had hope for another normal life after this. You know, I wasn't going to accept my fate. I've never been a victim, and I wasn't really going to start then. So I was like, all right, I'm going to beat this again. I'm going to be one of the odd ones. Let's do it. And I did. I beat it. And my doctor said, well, sometimes when it only goes to one spot, you can still do that. That's not that rare. We're going to keep an eye on you. Congratulations. Go about your way.
Okay, so you were victorious for the second time against stage 4 cancer.
Yes.
And in the time frame, we're talking about 2013.
Yep. And he told me still, you know, you have a very small chance of survival past 4 years. I just want you to know that. Once cancer spreads to another area of the body than what you were originally diagnosed with, they call a remission, it's something different. It's just means that right now the cells are undetectable. They never truly go away. And so it's just a matter of time before it pops up, and the task at hand now is to catch it before it becomes such an issue that it will completely shut an organ down. And that's the trick of stage 4, is catching it in time to treat it, to give you the maximum amount of time while keeping you comfortable as well. So you're not in pain.
Oh, wow. Did you go in often to get treatment?
Oh, yeah. I went in every month, and I had chemo every week, once a week. And, so that's what I did. I had 2 different kinds of chemos. What they do is they kind of buck up the drugs with another one so that it kind of helps it work a little quicker, a little more powerful. So I was feeling really rough, and it was a rough time. But my husband's, thankfully, the Air Force let him take off. You know, he never missed a chemo, and they let him take off time so that he could help with our daughter. And my mother-in-law came for a few months and helped as well, which was a blessing, really.
What a family you have. When did you meet my sister Simone?
I met Simone during this fight, during my first stage 4 fight. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. And Cameron came to me and said, my aunt has breast cancer. Would you mind talking to her? And I said, absolutely. And I already loved Renee, Cameron's mother. So I was like, hook me up. And so we talked, and we kind of, hey, I had chemo today. Hey, so did I. And we kind of said, you know, do you feel this? Do you feel that? And it was nice to finally bounce something off of somebody else. I wasn't alone in this fight. It was awesome. It was a great feeling for the both of us. And, you know, we both had kids. Granted, they were different ages, but it doesn't matter. Once you're a mother, you're always a mother. And it was nice, and I connected with her. I loved her very quickly, and we were in this together. And although we were miles, hundreds and probably thousands of miles apart, we felt each other in our fight, and it made it so different, really.
And just for our listening audience, so you can see what bridges Kasey and I together today, is that Simone, my sister, who had cancer, she had a double mastectomy, and Renee is another one of my sisters who has Cameron as a son. That is my nephew, who is the bridge.
Yes, he's like my brother.
And Simone is another victorious fighter.
Almost 2 years, right?
Yeah, and that's how I got to know you, is Simone kept telling me over and over, you have to pray for my Kasey girl. And that my Kasey girl is fighting against stage 4 cancer, and she has a spirit unlike no other. Okay, so let's continue your story.
Okay. I'm thinking of Simone now. I love her so much. Let's see here. Okay, so I go into another remission, and, honestly, if cancer doesn't take a toll on your marriage, I'm questioning where your husband or wife is because it's natural. If they're involved, they're going through it too, and we as fighters tend to forget that. They're watching us, and my husband described it as feeling like his hands were tied behind his back because all he could do was watch. And I'd get frustrated with him, and I'm a woman. I think everybody can read my mind. And we had, for the first time, we struggled in our marriage because of the disease. And so once I found out I was in remission again, I thought I was a big girl, and I left. And I said, to hell with it, I'm starting over. And I was essentially trying to run away from my cancer, but you can't. And I went home for a little bit in Michigan, and I missed him, and I ended up coming back to North Carolina, thankfully, and I kind of just realized you can't run away. And so I came back. We renewed our vows through God because we were not Christians when we got married. We wanted God to be the center of our marriage, that we knew he was in control, obviously, of my life. I wasn't. And in control of our marriage, and we needed to just let go and trust. And that is so much easier to say than to do. And I have days where I don't really do that. I get frustrated. And so I came back, started working again. My hair started growing in a little bit. And all of a sudden, I didn't go into a remission very long. Mm-hmm. It was, I really hadn't expected to. I didn't expect this either. Cameron actually was over, and he was on our computer, and I looked at the screen, and there was two of them all of a sudden, and I was like, what in the world? So I called the eye doctor, and just normal eye doctor said, I have double vision. I've been through a lot of chemo in a short amount of time. She did an exam and immediately sent me to Duke Hospital, which is a university here in North Carolina. They did thorough exams. They were able to see. We found cancer in both of my eyes.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, my Lord, here I am. I at that point, the first time I had ever lost faith, really. And I don't know if I lost it, but I definitely questioned it. And I wanted to be alone, so my husband left me alone in the house, and I yelled at God. I did. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? I'm watching women who are in their 40s get a second chance at life, and you're killing me. Now you're going to blind me? So first you're going to take me from my daughter, and then you're going to, have me not even see the last little bit that I get with her. Thank you. Really? What did I ever do to you? What did I do? And I told my pastor this, and in fact I used a few choice words with my pastor, and I said... He just sat there and looked at me. He didn't judge or anything. And he said, God would rather have you come to him like this than not at all. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, then I'm going to keep going. And I calmed down eventually, and I heard my husband played this song for me by Josh Garrels, and it's called Further Along. And the first lyric was, further along, we'll understand why.
Farther along, understand why.
And I lost it. I just started crying again. And apparently I have this connection with music because it really pulls at my heart. And it was clear again for me. Oh, thank you, Jesus. You made it clear again. And it was further along, we'll understand why. And it talks about hanging on to the edge of your rope.
Castaways in need of rope, hanging on by the last threads of our hope. In a house, a mirror full of smoke.
And just going through life kind of blind sometimes, but knowing that we're going to understand why eventually. And so I realized that my faith would waver every time I'd go into a remission. I really, really needed God when I was sick. But when I went into remission, I was like, good job. You did your part. High five. I'm moving on. I'm doing my thing again. So I was like, okay, maybe this is how I've always learned the hard way. And I don't think God gives you cancer. I think it's a very worldly thing. But he knows that when I'm sick, I'm going to turn to him. So he doesn't necessarily want to take me. He's not through with me yet, but